Hello, Elise here from Miss McKenna's Life Leverage, and today I'm back in my Le Mans for part 2 of the Dutch door tutorial. It's taken me a little while to get this out, I'm sorry, but here it is for you. In part 1 we did this spread, and this one. I'll link part 1 in the description if you haven't seen that one yet, because I talked through it all in detail. But for this video we are going to be doing this spread. So you've got your week to view at the top, your monthly calendar, your notes and your dailies. And then we will be tackling this one, which this one has your sleep log, food log, week to view, monthly view, and then Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and a space for notes. So those are the two we're going to do today. Here I gave you the measurements for the first week's layout, and here are the second week's measurements. So you've got those ones, and now we will start on the third. I'm not counting in dots, I'm counting in squares. Somebody said in the comments in the last video that it took her a little while to catch on that I was counting squares rather than dots. So I count one full square and do it that way rather than dots. So we're going to start out by working out where to cut our Dutch door for this one. So if you've done the monthly tracker along the bottom, you would cut away your, I think it's 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So we're going to cut away 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So that's here. And we've only got, I think it's one extra page for this spread. Yes, we've only got the one. And we're going to cut 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 from the top. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we're going to cut along there and along there. So when I get to this piece here, I'm not cutting it all the way because I've done that here and the page flips up because I've cut too much away. So you want to make sure you give yourself enough that you've still got some of the page attached. So I'm just going to leave about a couple of millimeters that side of the page, and then that way it keeps the book bound in down here. And I will do the same for the top. So again, just leaving a bit of extra. I'm not cutting it right up against the binding, just a little bit away from it. Okay, so now we have our Dutch door. And we will start putting in the measurements. It's best to cut your Dutch door first before planning things out. I said this in my last video because you end up cutting bits away. So there's no point planning it out until you've cut the pages. So we're going to put these top weekly spread boxes. Somebody asked what these are for, and it's so that I can see the whole of my week. It doesn't matter if I can't see the last couple of days or not. Like here, I can only see Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, but I'll still be able to see what's coming up on the Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So it just gives me a whole overview of the week, which comes especially, it comes in especially handy for spreads like this one, where I can't see anything of what's going on these days. I can't see what's happening daily, so I'm going to see it down here. So we're going to put in these weekly boxes, and they are all 5 by 5 squares, not dots, 5 by 5 squares. and I've gone right up to the very edge here so that I can fit it all in. So right from the very edge square, so, and we've started at the very top as well, very top of the box. So we're going to do our 5 by 5 squares. And I'm just leaving a gap in between each square. And here, like I said in the last video, I can see 3 pretty good sized squares there. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. You might find that you've got sort of a half box here left. I don't count that as one box, even if it's got the other half the other side. I always do give myself the proper 3 squares, so that would be 1 and 2. So I've got 3 full squares here and 2 full squares there, so that's my 5, plus these tiny little gaps in between that I'm not counting as a box. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 7. So there we have the 7 weekly boxes across the top. And over here I haven't given myself a box or anything, I've just left the space blank to put my mini calendar in. You could put a quote there, you could put anything you wanted, to be honest. So, and with the spaces that I've used for the dailies, I've got enough space for notes, which I've put at the front, so it's nice and easy to find. So I'm not going to count how far down these boxes are, because I know that it's 1 square above and 1 square below as a gap. But I'm going to count how far across they are. So they are 13 across. So this Dutch door here, I can see where it starts. I'm going to start with my first square. And I'm going to count 13 across, and I'm leaving that 1 square gap there and 1 square gap at the bottom. And then you can see where it lands on this side of the page now, so you're just going to mimic it on this side. So that's where the top falls, and that's where the bottom falls. And we're going to count our 13. Now I've come into a problem here because the way the book's printed on this particular page, I would have to count in that square. So I'm not leaving any sort of gap there. So I'm going to rub this out, and I worked that out because I counted back from this side that 13 this side would land there. So I wouldn't have my box gap in between. So I'm going to pull this box all the way to the edge, and that's right where those dots are. They just happen to land right on the very edge of the page. And I'm going to pull it across this way 1 square. So that makes my 13 across again. Ooh, overshot that a little bit. Go there, and then just repeat again. Now for the Saturday and Sunday, I did the horizontal rather than vertical. And if you're someone who prefers to write everything in a sort of horizontal form, you can see that you'll have enough space for those. It would be Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and then Sunday, and you'd have your notes as either at the top or at the bottom. So we're going to measure how far across. I know these boxes go all the way from the very first square to the very end square, and I know they line up with 1 square down. So 1 square down from that Dutch door I can see here is there. So here it's this line here, and I know it goes all the way to the end. And then I'm just going to count how many it is down. $11.5. So it's 10, 11.5. So it's 11.5 because I need these dots to land in the middle to make the boxes equal. You don't necessarily have to, but I think it's more visually pleasing that way. So I'm going to do my 11.5 down. So that's my halfway line there. So you should be able to see these row of dots on this line here, because you're not going to actually draw on that. You're just going slightly above and slightly below for the next one. And then we don't have to count how far down we're going because we know it's one box up from the base, well, from the bottom of the Dutch door. So it's nice and easy to draw in. This one's, you know, quite a fairly speedy one. Nice and easy. And that's pretty much it for this Dutch door spread. If you've got the same size planner that I have, you should have enough squares down here to have your 24 hours in the day, which is where I was tracking my sleep. And you could also colour code your activities as well if you wanted to, but I was just using this for sleep when I used it in April. And then you've still got enough space along the horizontal for your 24 hours in the day in these boxes. So those are the finished measurements to create this page. You've got your 5 by 5 boxes along the top, your 13 by 24 verticals, which you could do either or. You could do them all vertical or you can do them all horizontal. And your horizontals are 11.5 by 27. So when you've finished doing your layout for these boxes, you should end up with something that looks like this. Always looks nicer when it's filled in. So now we're going to go on to the fourth one I wanted to show you. I've got space for my mini calendar, my week to view. It's very small, you wouldn't be able to write a lot in these boxes here, so if you're not someone that has a lot of appointments, that works out okay, but if you're someone who has a lot of appointments every day for the week, you probably won't be able to fit everything in because these boxes are only 4 by 4. So you've also got space for your sleep log and space for your food log, and then small squares for each daily. So this would be best for someone who's not got a huge amount of stuff that they need to plan ahead for, but lots of things that they like to track, and maybe if they like to journal, you've got enough space just for those sort of things. And notes. You have space for your notes as well. So we're going to start as usual by cutting the Dutch doors. So we know it's 7 up. So I'm going to cut on this page. You would cut this one off along the bottom, leaving your 1 square gap. And that way you're going to be able to see your mini tracker all the way through the month still. Someone asked me again what I do with the scraps, the pieces that I cut off. Don't worry, I don't waste them. I use them for other things, projects, notes, that sort of thing. So we're going to turn this page here, and this is the start of our next week. So we know we're going to cut that 7 off from the bottom. And if I remember rightly, we've only got 1 extra page here. Yeah, just the 1 extra page here. And it is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 squares down from the top. 2, 4, 6. So we're going to cut across here, and then I've got my space. I've cut away this half of the page so I can still see my food log that side and my sleep log that side. So we're going to work out how much we need to cut off. So that page falls just there. So that's 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 11. So we're going to cut away 11 from this side. So we're getting rid of all this. So once we've got our page measured, the easiest box measurement to take, whoop, that's my pencil gone flying, hang on. Okay, so the blah, blah, blah. So the easiest measurements to put on first are these ones here on this Dutch door. So I'm going to work out, I already know that these are going to be, well they should be, 11.5 down, because it's the same measurements as these here. And I know I'm just 1 square away from this edge, and I've gone right to the very first squares in the centre. So here's my edge, that's 1 square away, that's a square right in, that's the first square, and I'm coming across the top here. And I'm going to count my 11.5 down again. So there's my 11.5 down. And then as before, I'm just coming just below the dots on that line, and I'm leaving a gap, 1 square gap, as I did before. There. So now we know what those boxes are, we can replicate it this side. So 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 15. Double check it. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 15. So 15 across. And I'm starting with right up against the first lot of lines. I don't have to count this down because I'm just going to do a mirror image of what I've got this side. And then I'm counting my 15 across. Once you've got those ones, you can do exactly the same for this half. And if you do it in pen first, you might be able to see where the line falls. I can actually see, you can't on this camera, but I can just see through the pages where that 11.5 finishes. It's there and there, which saves me counting. And then to find out where these boxes land, I'm just going to mark where that page finishes, which is there, and I know it's 1 square in. So I know it's there, and 1 square down, across there. Now the reason I've only given myself 4x4 boxes on this is because I wanted this food log to be a bit wider, and I wanted to have space for the sleep log as well, so I've sort of had to shrink it down to fit these two in the sides. So I'm going to start with the food log, and of course you wouldn't have to use this as a food log. You could use that one as your week to view if you wanted, and then use this space for something else. That's the best thing about this, you can use all the boxes for anything you want. And if you look in my May plan with me, you can see how I've sort of switched things around a little bit to cater for my needs and try new things out. So, but we'll start with the food log here. It's 1, 2, 3 squares down is where it starts. 1, 2, 3. So it starts here, and it lines up with these here, with this line of this bottom box here, and it's 2, 4, 6, 8 across. and each day is 4 squares, so it's 1, 2, 3, 4 line, 1, 2, 3, 4. So when you've sectioned it off 4 squares each, you've got your 7 days. Now we'll go on to the little boxes at the top, and they are all 4 by 4 as I said before, and I'm 1 square in from where this box finishes. So I'm going to start 1 square in, 1 square in, which is there. The boxes start at the very top, and they are 2, 4 across and 4 down. So there we have our 7 daily boxes across the top, and finally put in space for the sleep log, and that is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 squares down. So 8 squares down is here. That box ends up in line with this one here, and I can see that I'm 2 squares away, so where this page falls, it's an extra square, or 2 squares before this box. So 1, 2, and that's how I know where that one finishes. And then for my monthly, I've given myself 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 squares down and 7 squares across, and it's 2 squares in. So 1, 2 in, and I go right to the top with this one, 2, 4, 6, 7. And that gives you space to put your mini calendar. So that's that one finished. I'll just write in all the measurements for you. So here we have our finished measurements for each box. Mini calendar is 7 by 6, 4 by 4 for your little weeks at the top, 8 by 23 for your sleep log, 15 by 11.5 for your dailies, and 8 by 4 for your food log. And as before, when you've finished, once you've done all this bit, you can then turn it into something like this. So I'm going to leave this video here for now, because this one's quite long, and the final video shouldn't take so long to upload. So in the final one, we've got our week to view, we've got a nice big space for notes, 7 daily food log, behind sleep and activity log, and then you've got your tabs, and I'll show you how to cut the tabs out for each and the measurements for each one, and then your extra boxes for your mini calendar and anything else you might want to track through the week. So I'll be showing you that one in the next video. Hope you've enjoyed. If you've got any questions, please ask me in the comments, because I'm happy to help you however I can. Follow me on Instagram if you're not already, and subscribe to this channel so that you don't miss the next upload, and I'll see you next time. Thanks for watching. Bye!